Triple Point by R. Scott Gillespie. Triple point, the single combination of pressure and temperature where liquid, water, ice, and vapor can coexist. Characters: James Newton, a poet, illustrator, and writer working on a new masterpiece. Jim is a penchant for speaking in iambic pentameter. He believes that contractions are beneath him as an artist. God, a voice in James's head that the audience also hears, offstage with lots of reverb. Rachel, mysterious woman of many talents. Jillian Tara, a musician, James's best friend of many years. Karen Pfeiffer, an artist, Jillian's partner, Helen's roommate. Helen Barker, an author, Jillian and Karen's roommate. The scene, the Jazz Cafe, a local hangout for the self-styled bohemian artist set. There are a couple of round tables. An oversized clock is visible. A big paper calendar hangs on the rear wall. Only the months need be visible. At various times and days, as time advances, the lights raise and lower to simulate the passage of the sun. The clock spins and the pages of the calendar fall off in cliché movie fashion. Scene: the Jazz Cafe. Late July, midday. Jim is seated at the table with books and notebooks and is busily scribbling. Jill walks in with Karen and Helen. Jill sneaks behind Jim and taps him on the opposite shoulder. Jim looks where Jill isn't and goes back to writing. Don't you actually have an office somewhere that you pay for? It is still July. What are you doing here? I thought I had a reprieve until next month. I need an excuse to come down here like you own the place? Only morally. If I banked all the money I spent on coffee here, I would own the place. I have to have a line of credit for the pastry alone. Reinforcements? Jim, this is Karen and Helen, my new roommates. Ah, a menage a threesome. James, are you sure that you're a writer, what with addiction impairment and all? As it is, so happens, Karen and I are dating, and Helen is between girlfriends at this point. Please, God, tell me that you are not musicians, too. Nope, I'm a painter. Houses. No canvases, oils mostly, some acrylics. Jillian told me that you weren't a musician either. Jill? Those noises you make on the guitar certainly do not qualify as music. But I sing. That's what you call it. And you call it? I don't know, yodeling, gargling, hog-calling. I am an illustrator. I do my own drawings, pen and ink workings mostly. Oh yeah, he does drawings. Come up and see my etchings, honey. Retchings, more like. And what do you do? I'm an author. Say, you're pretty cute. Have you considered switching teams? Nope. He's a poet. He has a crazy thing about female writers. A mad crazy thing. You did know I'm a writer, right? He likes to hit on lesbians because he's afraid someone will take him up on it. Jim sticks his tongue out at Jill, who sticks her tongue out back. Children! Rachel moves to Jill and gives her a big hug, smiles, waves, then moves on for coffee. Jim watches with rapt attention. Jimmy has a crush. Fuck off, Jillian. Ooh, sensitive. She looks kind of familiar. She's one of the local crowd. I see her everywhere. Pretty quiet, though. I am an art slut. I only date talent. I cannot afford to get hooked up with another beautiful woman that I have no creative affinity with. I am a creature of the mind. You're a creature of the worst kind. Are you sure you two aren't siblings? Don't get me started. I have to look out for the poor dumb bastard. He'll never get married. Nope, not again. Not while I have the checklist. Besides, I'm in love with my mass nemesis. You have a mass nemesis? Cool. Don't get him started. Mass nemesis? Well, it's this woman he first saw at Mardi Gras a few years back wearing an exotic mask. He fell in love with her eyes. I fell in love when I looked into her eyes. It's actually pretty common in some cultures. The women wear veils. What's the checklist? Sounds ominous. It's a massive list of every feature I require demographically from a woman before considering matrimony, and another massive list of every possible disqualifying defect. Between them, marriage is a statistical impossibility. He's a poet. He has women all over him all the time. I'm a single rider who is straight. The only other guy in town with that demo is on vacation, so that makes me a hot commodity. Besides, I'm an art slut. I will only marry an artist. I hear you. Of course, I would marry R. Stein in a split second. R. Stein, the artist? She's kind of reclusive, isn't she? She is more than just an artist. I have heard her speak in town a few times. She breezes in all perfume and sunglasses, tells more in a few words about painting than all of the art instructors I have ever had. I know from her art that her mind speaks to me. You really are an art slut, aren't you? Thank God for the checklist. Fortunately, it's doubtful that he'll ever reproduce. To the checklist! The checklist! Everyone exits. The lights cycle. The calendar spits out a July page. It now says August. The time is night. Jim is sitting at a table working. The noise of the jazz cafe quiets. Lights dim. Spotlight on Jim. A mellow, mellifluous voice is heard. Hey, man. How's it going? Sorry to intrude. May I speak with you a moment? This is my inside voice, is it not? Yeah, one of them anyway. I'm not an audio hallucination in any event. You mean they can hear you? Jim looks nervously at the dark, quiet cafe. No, it's just that I'm more like a refined intuition than a hallucination. I see. So when they locked me up for hearing voices, I caught the refined intuition plea? Something like that. Who are you, anyway? Well, that's not an easy question. The most accurate answer would be that I'm the sum of those parts of your unconscious that actually like you. You mean parts of my mind do not like me? You know, you kind of sound like one of those mellow late-night FM jazz DJs from the 70s. Yeah, how did you know? I get that a lot. Please don't. You know I've always wanted to ask. Please do not what? Don't ask. Say, you are good. I get that a lot. Listen, we don't have much time. It draws attention when I freeze the jazz cafe this way. I wanted to tell you, you're going to fall in love. You need to get married. When you meet her, propose to her. Fuck off! This is crazy. Who do you think you are, God or something? Pretty much. At least as far up the food chain as you can talk without your brain being fried by my fiery countenance. You have a fiery countenance? Cool! It does not matter. I am not going to get married. Besides, you would not like me in love. The one time it happened before, I became ardent. She will come unexpectedly from 3 directions at once. Look for the triple point, that which boils, freezes, steams. Fuck off! It's almost 0 degrees in a partial vacuum. Remember, member, member. God's voice echoes and fades. Full lights. Jim sits at the table. Normal jazz cafe voices resume. The clock spins. Day returns. Actually, that was kind of harsh. Jill enters. You look weird. I had a refined intuition. I heard the voice of God telling me that I was going to fall in love. Sounds like an audio hallucination. Well, it was disturbingly coherent. Don't worry, there's always the checklist. Thank God for the checklist. Rachel enters, flows past, waves, goes for coffee. Jim sinks down in his seat with a goofy grin. Oh, come on, tell her I'm going to kill you myself. What's the worst that could happen? I am not going to approach a woman that I am that attracted to. She would suck me in like a black hole. Safer to watch from a distance. I am not going to have another relationship with someone that I have no creative affinity with. Well, what if she is creative? How can you tell without talking? James, what if she were a poet? Then you might as well kill me now. I mean it. That would kill me. Besides, there's no such thing as a good-looking female poet. Mind you, I would have so done Dorothy Parker back in the day. James, right now, she's coming. Jill grabs Jim's arm and pulls him up. Rachel passes with coffee. Jim approaches, wobbly. Hi, Rachel. Nice to see you. Hi, James. Nice to see you. Rachel gives him a friendly hug, walks over to the door, and exits. That's it? That's your approach? The floor vibrates when I talk to her. It's like being on nitrous oxide. Hi, whoa, whoa, whoa. Nice to see you, whoa, whoa, whoa. It is most annoying. Some guys say that women are ambush predators, but I think they have it all wrong. I think that they hunt in packs, like wolves. Has he got laid yet? Are you kidding? It's been like 6 months. He's got a crush on Rachel over there. Karen looks at Rachel, double takes, then studies her more closely. Jim follows her gaze. He looks incredulous, then gets up wide-eyed and walks slowly over to her and stands in front of her. Rachel? Rachel gives Jim an amused, questioning look. Rachel, would you mind doing this? Jim holds his hands under his chin, then puts his fingers under his chin and folds his hands back, lifts them with his palms against his face, index finger and thumb in a loop, forming both hands into what look like a pair of aviator's goggles. Rachel repeats the gesture. Ah! Jim runs out of the jazz cafe. Jill and Carol rise and walk over to Rachel. What was that all about? I don't know. He had me do this, then ran out of the room screaming something about a mass nemesis. Karen approaches Rachel curiously, then takes both of Rachel's hands and looks at them. Say, I was wondering, are you R. Stein, the painter? I see you have painter's hands. As do you. Yes, I am R. Stein. You can call me Rachel. Pleased to meet you. I'm Jill's partner, Karen. You're R. Stein? Oh, this is going to be rich. Jim comes running back into the jazz cafe carrying a red rose. He grabs Rachel's hand, leads her into another part of the cafe. They confer out of earshot. What do you think he's saying to her? Something about Mardi Gras, ancient cultures, and falling in love after looking into someone's eyes. I thought you said he had game. No, I said that he always has women all over him. He doesn't have the slightest idea of how to game a woman who isn't chasing him. We are going to have coffee. You're having coffee right now. You do not understand. Rachel is my mass nemesis. They're the same person. I cannot believe it. I am glowing. I thought you were an art slut. You wouldn't date someone without creative rapport. What about that? Oh my God, I forgot all about that. What am I going to do? I am so falling in love with this woman. It could be like Iris all over again. Think about it. The endless carping while you were writing. She destroyed drawings. Oh my God, what will I do? I've never even given flowers to a woman before. You never gave flowers to Iris? She used to buy them and charge them to me. Said I could not be trusted to pick out flowers. And you want to get into another relationship based on physical attraction alone. Jill, I cannot help it. I am falling. I am in free fall. I am a whirlwind down. Did you even get her last name? No, I was going to get that over coffee while leading up to her phone number. I know her last name, James. It's Stein, James. Rachel Stein. Stein? You mean Stein as in... Yes, James. Frankenstein's monster? No, asshole. Stein as in R. Stein, the painter. Ah! Jim runs out of the jazz cafe. So what happens next? Well, that's a good question. He is a poet after all. He might become ardent. I can't remember. Does he still have a sword? A sword? Why would he want a sword? He wouldn't do anything violent, would he? Well, not violent. I'm more like a warrior's wedding. Hold hands and jump the sword. Jump, rogue, and princess leap. That sort of thing. Good God, he's crazy. Well, not exactly. Well, maybe functionally pretty much, but at least he's lucid, sort of. He's going to propose to a woman he's barely spoken to. You call that lucid? Well, I think he intends to proceed directly to the wedding, and I guess not. Do we need to be worried here? Oh, I don't know. I've never seen him like this. He usually thinks out things for years before he acts. And when he acts, well, he's a poet. There is a distinct danger of him becoming ardent. And how long has he been thinking about this? Years, I guess. Karen and Jill look at each other, pause, then rush over to Rachel. Rachel, honey, you might want to get out of here for a while. Huh? Confused male issue. Karen and Jill grab Rachel's arms and start moving her towards the exit. Jim bursts through the door carrying a vase full of flowers. Karen and Jill drop Rachel's arms and grab for Jim. He dodges them, grabs Rachel's arm, and moves with her over to the other side of the Jazz Cafe. Well, this isn't as bad as I thought. He doesn't have a sword. What's this? It looks like a book of poems. Karen looks down where Rachel was sitting, picks up a notebook, looks at it, then puts it down. Jim and Rachel start back over. Karen and Jill look at each other, double take, then dive for the notebook. They fumble for it before Jill turns away and stuffs it down her pants just as Jim and Rachel walk up. Jim looks curious. What is up? Nothing. What happened to my poetry notebook? I was just working on a poem. Jill reaches behind herself and pulls out the notebook, handing it to Rachel. Jim looks at the notebook, then looks at Rachel. He tenses. Karen and Jill tense. They grab for Jim. He dodges past them and runs towards the exit. Ah! Is he okay? He gave me more flowers, said something about me running the whole checklist and that he needed a broom before going Viva Las Vegas. Oh, I get that one. I'm starting to learn James speak. Oh shit, the situation's gone thermonuclear. Rachel, honey, if you know what's good for you, you will exit stage right. Rachel begins to gather her thing. Jim rushes back in with a broom. Jill grabs the broom. She and Jim struggle with it before Jim lets go and Jill falls back. Jim steps toward Rachel. Jill swings at his legs with a broom. Jim jumps over it. Karen gets down on hands and knees behind Jim as Jill stands up. Jill drops the broom and pushes Jim backwards. Jim falls over Karen, rolls over, grabs the broom, and then stands up and runs over to Rachel. What's with the broom? Pagan wedding tradition. She wouldn't actually marry him, would she? Karen prepares to shoulder tackle Jim. You don't understand. He's very persuasive when he's ardent. Jill oofs as Karen misses Jim and tackles her. Persuasive? He's not even coherent. Jim is seen placing the broom on the ground in front of Rachel. He makes broad sweeping gestures with his hands as if speaking eloquently. Jill and Karen poise to both tackle him at the same time. Helen enters the Jazz Cafe. Jill approaches and high-fives Helen as if in tag team wrestling. Jim grabs Rachel's hand and moves towards the broom. Helen lunges and grabs Jim around the knees. Jill and Karen each grab a hand and break Jim's grip on Rachel's hand. Karen grabs Jim by the arm. Karen kicks the broom across the room like a gun. Jill turns Rachel aside. Run, if you want to live! A combination of flustered, amused, and bewildered, Rachel gathers her things and exits. Jill grabs Jim's other arm, and the four of them wrestle comically. Finally, Jim breaks free and sits down in despair. Where is my broom? I could go get my sword. On sword, Jill, Karen, and Helen grab Jim again. Oh, no, you don't. Remember what happened when you were playing Cyrano de Bergerac? It was an accident. I thought the guy knew how to fence. And what happened next? I married Iris? That's right. And how did that work for you? You are problematic right now. That's why I have to marry Rachel. She is the triple point. Boiling, freezing, steaming. All three directions at once. I will never meet another woman like her in this lifetime. Oh, she is gone. She hates me. I am single for life. I will never return to the Jazz Cafe. Is he serious? Yes. This is why ardent is problematic. All right, mister. Be honest for once. When was the last time you got laid? Jim looks embarrassed, looks to both sides, and whispers in Jill's ear. Jill pushes Jim's chest and he falls into the chair. Okay, enough. That's it. We're going to put you out of your misery. What? You heard me. This is a mercy killing. You cannot do that. That is against the rules. You are lesbians. Every once in a while we want to do something really filthy and disgusting. So we sleep with a man. Wolves! Casually stretching, he shrugs and walks away, then feints one way and darts for the exit. They catch him before he gets 2 steps. They lead him backwards towards the exit. Carrot and Helen each hold an arm, and Jill drags him by his tie. This is not optional. You are in need of medical attention. All my laurels you have riven away, and my roses, one thing without stain, unspotted from the world in spite of doom mine own, and that is my white plume. Cyrano, dueling with death? Sweet Helen, make me immortal with a kiss. Her lips suck forth my soul, see where it flies. Dr. Faustus, euthanasia is definitely in order. I'll burn my books! Jim wedges himself in the doorway of the exit to the jazz cafe. As they peel his fingers back, he loses his grip, and as he is pulled back out over the threshold, he raises his hand in a final dramatic gesture. Ah! Mephistopheles! Jim disappears through the doorway. Cue Twilight Zone theme. The lights raise and lower repeatedly. The hands of the clock spin rapidly. The pages of the calendar spew forth like a deck of cards shot from the fingers. Light, dim, end of play.